Hello, Grandad here. I hope you've had a good day and that you're probably getting rather tired. Anyway, I want to read you a story. It's called Archiesaurus. Archiesaurus. And it's a book that I've been given this year, and it's written by this lady called Sue, and she was one of my students. And she's got a friend of hers called Christy, who's done all the drawings. Anyway, I hope you really enjoy this. I'm going to try and read you the story of Archiesaurus. So here is the book by my friend Sue called Archiesaurus. What can you see here? It looks like a dinosaur of some sort. And this is Archie, who's sitting on the back of him. And I think he's actually got a dinosaur suit on. Anyway, this book actually belongs to me, but I haven't written in it yet. There's another page with Archiesaurus, the title. So, ooh, what a funny face that this boy is making. Archie put on his dinosaur costume and roared mightily into the mirror. I wonder why he was doing that. He curled his fingers like claws in the air. Then he jumped and stomped to show his great dinosaur strength. Suddenly, as he looked out of the window, he couldn't believe his eyes. And there he is with Mum and Dad, looking out the window and looking at the garden. And there in the garden is a very, very purple dinosaur. So, Mum, Dad, look, Archie called. Ruby, that was the dinosaur's name, is in the backyard. Thump, thump, thump. Ruby's stomping feet accidentally stomped on Mum's flower bed. That would be terrible. And it reminds me, I wonder what would happen if Ruby stomped on Grandma's flower bed. Swish, bam, she slipped and bumped her head on the old treehouse. Now, I think there may be a treehouse in somebody's back garden. Boom! Oh no! Ruby's tail swooshed against the neighbor's wooden fence. Ruby was very sad, and she stumbled and fumbled all the time, and basically anything she touched fell apart. It tends to happen when we're unhappy. So I wonder what happens. Well, here we go. But Archie had an idea. He approached his sad friend with something to cheer her up. Here we go. Ruby, this spoon might not look very special on the outside, but what you can't see might surprise you. Archie waved the spoon in the air. 1, 2, 3, count with me. The spoon began to sparkle. 4, 5, 6, let's go quick. A bright light appeared. 7, 8, 9, now it's your time. This is basically Archie having a ball. He's having so much fun. Ruby's jaw dropped as she saw an extravagant valley filled with sun-baked mountains, crispy grass and juicy leaves. She carefully watched her footsteps, worried that she might break something, but Archie always stayed close by her side. Ah, yelled Archie, as he tipped over a pinkish-green blob. Ruby rushed to help, but he just laughed and bounced back up to his feet. "Look up," said Archie. Ruby's worries turned into wonder as she plucked some of their new discoveries from the trees. Can you see them? These very strange looking pears, but they're not actually pears. Can you see? They look the shape of pears, but they're not pears. You wait and see. They tasted sweet, sweeter than honey and totally delicious, Archie said with his mouth full. Let's call them raspberry pear whopper zapper crunchies. Slowly, Ruby grew more and more curious about what they would see and discover next. For the first time, she was able to dance, spin, and twirl in a large meadow. She even helped Archie cross a wild river with her stretchy neck. Can you see her over the river? And here's the long neck for Archie to walk along. Then they bounced on jelly wobbles and glided on slippery ice lolly lakes. In the distance, Ruby spotted a mountain and followed the sweet smell streaming from the top. I don't know whether it's this one or this one, but basically there's some very sweet smells coming from the top of the mountain. Perhaps somebody's cooking. Archie huffed and Ruby puffed. The journey up the mountain was tough. Ruby nearly stumbled, and Archie felt jumbled. Oh, how they could hear their bellies grumble. But they didn't give up and kept on going, till all of a sudden it started snowing. They realized that they had come too far to stop. That's a funny phrase. They realized they had come too far to stop. So they crawled their way to the very top. I think you might see the snow coming down here. Snowflakes. But look what else I see. That looks very much like an apple. And that looks very much like maybe a squirrel. I think it might be a squirrel. And there's a few more apples, and the squirrels have been eating the apples, a bit like the birds have been eating my apples. And here you see some apples that have been chopped up. And you can see the seeds inside the apples. Notice that Archie's still got the spoon in his mouth. So there they are on top of the mountain, Archie and Ruby, with the apple cores all around them. Their reward was better than they could ever imagine. Archie dipped his spoon into vanilla frosted apple crumble, and Ruby munched on the juiciest of apples. Soon enough, their bellies were full, and so was Ruby's heart. At this moment, Ruby felt ready to go home. Obviously, Ruby was much happier now. 1, 2, 3, count with me. 4, 5, 6, something is fixed. I wonder what was fixed. 7, 8, 9, let your light shine. Ruby felt different. She wasn't scared, and she wasn't sad anymore. Then everyone helped to repair the backyard. Ruby danced with her stomping feet to make holes in the ground for Mum to plant new flowers. After that, her long neck spun around to help Archie rebuild the treehouse. Finally, Ruby twirled her strong tail to hold up the new fence for Dad. Feeling grateful, Archie and Ruby looked up at the stars and wondered where their next adventure would be. Maybe on a rocket ship. And with Rainbow, maybe on a rocket ship in outer space, or under the sea with rainbow fish and manta rays. Now on this picture, I can't actually see any underwater fish, but I can see what looks a bit like a planet. And this might be another planet. But, oh, that's definitely one with a ring round it. And lots of stars. Archie! Archie! Can't turn the page. Oh, and what have we got here? We've got Archie, who's fallen asleep holding Ruby and his spoon. You see the spoon? And a few apples and pears, and a right mess all around. Oh, that's my wooden spoon, said Mum. Shh, said Dad, looking over at Archie. Dad gently carried him up to his bedroom. There he is going up the stairs with all the pictures of the family on the wall. And there we are, when he comes into focus, of Archie in bed with his favourite toy, Ruby, and the wooden spoon by his bed on the bedside table. And we've got some more dinosaurs on the window ledge, and I think this might be, I'm not sure, maybe a little kangaroo. And out the window we've got the moon and the stars. Good night, Archiesaurus, Dad whispered. Good night. Now, I hope you've enjoyed the story, but let me just show you a close-up of Sue. This is Sue. Can you see her? She's the girl who wrote this book, and this is her friend Christy, who drew all the pictures. And that's a collectible card. You can either cut it out or leave it in the book. I'll read what it says. Value. I am emotionally resilient. Story meaning. Ruby realizes she has a problem with being too strong and breaking things. Archie goes with her on a challenging adventure where she learns that she can control her strengths to repair what she has broken and build a better future. So there's the story of Archiesaurus. I hope you do like the story. Good night and sweet dreams.